Dinner for shoes, please.
Trisha's looking at me like, oh my God, she's acting crazy. Hello and welcome to an episode of Dinner for Shoes. We're back. I'm a little rusty, I think, because it's been a while. Megan went on vacation. Producer Megan went on a vacation to Portugal. We will have a story about that later in a later episode. I'm going to tease that now. But I'm about to go on vacation to the south of France and we'll do a whole episode on that. So we're in between basically vacations with me and Megan. However, while Megan was in Portugal, I went to my first F1 Grand Prix, Miami. You see? So I experienced F1 and I'm a new F1 fan, want to be fully upfront about that because I don't want anyone to come at me if I say the wrong thing. I'm learning. But I'm really into it. Like many people, I watched Drive to Survive on Netflix. That's how I really got into it. You honestly become so infatuated with who the drivers are, their stories, how talented they are. I myself am not the best driver, kind of a laughing joke. So I don't know what I would do. I actually was going to get a hot lap, which basically means that it was going to be one of the F1 Academy drivers. She was going to drive me around in her race car. And I was so nervous. I ended up not being able to do it, but I know I would have been really nervous if I did it. I had such a good experience. I want to pull up my notes where I talk about, where I wrote down what to talk about because I don't want to forget anything. But I will say that this episode, instead of focusing on my entire F1 experience, is going to focus on F1 fashion specifically because everyone knows that you literally cannot talk about F1, Formula One, without talking about fashion. They go hand in hand. There is so much money in Formula One because of beauty advertisers and fashion advertisers. And, literally the drivers themselves are becoming ambassadors. I should close the door. It's loud. It's raining today. And this members only jacket that I customized on the Cena Formula One would be a great rain jacket. But also important to note that it was raining. It rains a lot in Miami in one of the days of the race. So that played into it. But yeah, I've always liked F1 fashion, even without being an F1 fan. I always have appreciated the sporty meets edgy vibe. However, being on the scene at F1 in Miami led me to realize that there really are kind of two big trends that you can lean into as a Formula One fan when it comes to fashion. And we'll get into that. But of course, fashion as a whole is just a part of the Formula One conversation. I mean, just look at Lewis Hamilton, literally look at him, look at his Instagram. He just hosted the Met Gala and he is not the only one who's into fashion by any means when it comes to the drivers, which I'm going to get to as well. But, let's first talk about the outfit behind the shoes. Obviously, the way I see it is that there are really two sides of the Formula One trends. There's the preppy, sophisticated, almost like I'm going to the US Open. Maybe I'm wearing a polo. I have got a collar going on. I've got black sunglasses, almost like that, classy, why can't I think of the trend? Is it really that over that I can't even think of it? What is it? Casual. No, it's not. It's luxury. Quiet luxury. Oh my God. I can't believe it took me that long to think of quiet luxury. Clearly, this is not going to go well today for this podcast, but you've got that quiet luxury prep vibe. And then you've also got the sporty meets edgy vibe. And I also saw a lot of people really leaning into just completely sporty, maybe a sports bra, trousers, just to keep it a little bit more polished and streamlined. And then a really cool chunky sneaker. So my outfit today is kind of more of that sporty, edgy vibe. And I'm wearing this little denim set from Lulu's. I will take off this jacket after we talk about it. This little denim set from Lulu's that I actually called in specifically to wear to F1. But then I was like, are you an idiot, Sarah? It's literally 90 degrees. I was sweating my ass off the entire time. I think the first moment that I stepped onto the scene at the Grand Prix, it started to pour and I was sweaty and my hair was just disgusting by the first hour. But so of course I wasn't going to wear this little race car inspired denim set, simply because of the long sleeves, and I wanted to wear it. So I was like, all right, this is a great opportunity. Now, I just couldn't believe how these Kat McConey heeled sandals matched so well with the decals on this members only jacket that I customized at the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which was one of the activations I hit up while I was on the scene, along with Red Bull, which we'll get into that. But I really do love these. And I think everyone might be surprised, like, oh, Formula One, like you're wearing heels. Heels are very much a vibe at Formula One. And that's one of the things that I learned. People are really getting dressed up. I'm not saying they're getting dressed up like they're going to a wedding, but they are dressed up. There are a lot of heels involved. You see women like walking around, women who are like sitting in the bleachers in high heels. And it's very much a scene. So I've got my Lulu's denim set on. I've got my checkered flag. These are literally like a race car inspired rings. I've got the black and white one, and then I've got the gold one. I have my metallic nails, which are still left over. I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast, but I got my nails done at Nailed It in Hoboken. The best. And I had this like silver chrome that made me think of like the engine of a car. I don't know, liquid fast, like whatever. And then I've got my Brew eyewear tinted sunglasses, which I think I wore these in the Fashion Week episode, and like the screens just look like next level. Like they look like pink, you know? Can you guys see that Trish is sitting right here next to me because I'm talking to her? Come over here. Come a little closer so you can get in. Trish was not at Formula One, but I will say that I found this cat dressed in a Ferrari race car outfit, and I wanted to dress up my cats like that for this episode. I don't even know where Kit went. They would literally probably run away faster than a race car if I tried to dress them up in that, but I just thought that was funny to mention. I'm also wearing these basket weave earrings, which I really love because I felt like that was my subtle little way of bringing in the prep. For whatever reason, these earrings remind me of like the Hamptons and a little bit like preppier, sophisticated style. So that was my way of bringing them in. They also match with the gold heel on these Kat McConey sandals, which are just so cool and surprisingly comfortable. And then this members only jacket, like I mentioned, customized it, really cool. They had all different patches. They have the little Sapphire Reserve logo. Members only. This is their classic. There she comes. Racing jacket. And then I chose, you could like put a little patch wherever you wanted, and I chose to match with my ring, the little checkered flags, the little cross. So love this jacket. It is a little warm in here right now that I closed the door. So I'm going to like put it right here, but maybe I'll put it back on depending on what I'm talking about, depending on the topic. Now, aside from the Chase Sapphire Lounge, like the other activations I got to go to, one was Red Bull. And Red Bull was just like the coolest activation in my opinion. Now, working with the Alpine team, I literally got to do a paddock tour, a paddock club tour where VIPs watch the race. It's pretty much incredible. Every team puts a certain amount of money into how they want their paddock club to look. There are like gourmet dishes, champagnes by the glass at the ready. It was incredible. I got to get a glass of champagne. And there were so many activations within the paddock club, some of which I'll get into in a little bit, but I also saw like the paddock garden. There were some really cool art installations going on there. I saw the paddock walk where all the drivers come in, a lot of whom they take their little partners, their girlfriends, whatever. And it's like a fashion statement, honestly, when they walk in. So we'll talk about that. And I saw like all the hospitality where the drivers and their teams kind of do prep work before they go out to the garage to get to the pit lane, and they eat before, and they kind of just like chill. They do media, they do interviews there on media day and even before some of the races. I got to interview a Formula One Academy driver out there on the green. So that was really cool. And yeah, that's like within the Miami Dolphins stadium at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. So it's really cool. The way they have this Formula One race set up is so cool. And specifically, Miami is just so big. There is so much money that goes into it. This is actually now officially the longest running race on the Formula One calendar because Miami and Formula One just signed a deal. It's for the next, I think it's through 2041. So it's a very cool, popular race. It attracted over 275,000 fans. It was wild. Let's talk a little bit more about what I did. As far as fashion in Formula One goes, and because we're on this topic of just how big Miami is, I do want to say that LVMH also just signed a deal with Formula One for the next 10 years. And because of that, Louis Vuitton is now designing the trunk where the trophy is displayed. And you can see it numerous times throughout the circuit, on the racetrack and around the racetrack. It is absolutely huge. Now, some of the other collaborations that are fashion related that Formula One is making possible is with Adidas. They are launching a collection. Alo Yoga, which I'm going to get into. There was an Alo Yoga activation in the Paddock Club that I got to take advantage of. It was sick. They literally had cryotherapy. I got a B12 shot. They had like matcha cookies, like pre-made matcha oat milk lattes. I was like in heaven there. And air conditioning, which in Miami, that's so important. David Yurman, they hosted a party during the weekend. Kith Collection, Levi's, which did a whole race-inspired customization pop-up throughout the weekend. PacSun did a Miami drop. And then Puma is launching like 3 new collections with Ferrari. So, and this isn't just about Miami, right? This is going to extend throughout the whole Formula One season. It's only going to get bigger. And there are so many different articles you can read. Articles I was reading on like WWD, even LVMH launched one about their partnership with Formula One. So it's big. Fashion is very much a thing. It is literally fueling these cars. Seriously, literally. And yeah, so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, on top of this jacket that I actually got when I was there, the outfits that I wore, having not known before what I was getting into when it came to Formula One fashion. Of course, you see all the race car inspired collections when you're shopping like the sites, right? Like your standard retailers, your affordable retailers, but you don't really know for sure what it's going to look like when you're on the scene. So I prepared a few different outfits. I also went to some pretty incredible restaurants working with the Greater Miami team. They hooked me up. I stayed in some really cool hotels. I went to a lot of celebrity hotspots. So some of my outfits were kind of appropriate for those events and those restaurants, right? So I'm going to talk first about like my racetrack outfits. I knew that I had to wear closed-toed shoes if I wanted to get on the pit lane, which I got to take advantage of being an editor. And I wore my Adidas originals. They have the red racing stripes with this like cute little ribbed sweater dress from Anthropologie, my Stout white bag, my Ukiyo white sunglasses that just scream Miami to me. And on race day, I had another little set from Lulu's. It was this red, cute tweed. Again, there's that like polished, sophisticated nod. And I wore it with my sneakers. I really wish I had like a cool espadrille to go with them so I could be a little bit more polished that day, but I didn't. I was complaining about it like the whole day. You can ask my best friend Isabel, who was there with me. And I also had my red Miu Miu sunglasses on and my Parisa Wang shoulder bag. Important to note that most people are not allowed to bring in a bag like that, or it definitely can't be a big bag, but it is like a clear bag policy in the stadium. And yeah, so those were like my 2 racetrack day looks. Of course, once I had the members only jacket, I was like, this is sick. Like now I feel like really legit. And then some of the restaurants, like this whole fashion on the Miami scene, especially around Formula One, has to do with like all the places where the celebrities who come for the race are like going to, right? Like the nightclubs. The first night I got to go to Carbon Vino and try the famous spicy vodka rigatoni, which really did live up to the hype. So did the Caesar salad. I wore this cute leopard. I was just like leaning into the Sopranos in me, being from Jersey. This leopard set by Lovers and Friends from Revolve with my vintage Gucci sandals, which we have had on the podcast before, and a Cult Gaia bag because it was gold. Loved that. And there were no celebrity sightings that night, but it was also Thursday. Like we had just gotten in. So yeah. And then like I also I stayed at Fontainebleau, which is it's a historical hotel. It's on Miami Beach. And it is just, my mom actually, she texted me when she found out that I was there because she stalks my location. We call her a helicopter mom, but she was like, oh my God, you're at Fontainebleau. Like I used to go there growing up when I went to Miami. I was like, when did you go to Miami? She literally had never told me that that was a thing. When did she go to Miami? When did grandma go to Miami? Huh? When was it? I didn't even believe her. I was like, you never went to Miami when you were growing up. But apparently my grandma liked Miami. So that's good to know. Rest in peace, Phyllis Glickman. And I wore this really cute blue Left on Friday swimsuit. I wore it with my solid and striped cover-up. Will forever be my favorite cover-up. An Oscar de la Renta, beautiful headscarf, my Ukiyo sunglasses. It was a great day, like laying out at the pool. I actually had to work that day. And I got a little sunburn, as you will see from other photos, just because I was like on my laptop, like working while I was whatever. And then I really, my favorite look probably of all was this red Zara fit. It isn't a dress. It's actually a bodysuit and a midi skirt. It has silver grommets. Again, I wore it with my Parisa Wang bag and red Zara slingbacks, Astrid and Miu jewelry. And that felt so Formula One to me. I literally feel like the cat wearing the Ferrari outfit. I just felt so Ferrari in that look. So I really loved that. I really stuck to a red color palette. But until the last night, which I just absolutely loved, I got to party with Red Bull at Sexy Fish, which is another Miami hotspot. It was crazy. I danced way past my bedtime. My hurt knee hurt even more afterwards, but I wore another really cute look from Revolve, a little sequin mini skirt, super down, so cute. My towering Aldo platforms, which I won't blame the dancing knee hurting on Red Bull. I will blame it on those, the Aldo shoes, and also just me trying to like dance on chairs and tables, like with everyone. It was just a lot. And then my Stout Croc Effect bag and my Bobble Bar earrings that I wore in that episode. So really like those. They were flower earrings. They just like brought out the flower brushstroke pattern on that tank. So that was like probably like my second favorite outfit. I really enjoyed that. And we also went to Delilah that night too, which is another hot spot. It's a really cool restaurant. There's live music, live entertainment while you're eating. All of the food was delicious. I sampled some of the food at Sexy Fish too. It was delicious. In the red Zara look, we went to Uchi where I had some of like the best sushi of my life for the Somakase. That's so weird. I said sushi and Sushi by Boo just texted me, which is the Hoboken, Jersey City sushi restaurant. That is crazy. Like they're not tapping our phone, they're tapping our phones. So anyway, those were my outfits. And I did find that like, I felt like I connected to the vibe a bit, but like also if I had been to a Formula One race earlier, maybe my outfits would have been a little bit different. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to get my food in just a second, and then we're going to talk about one of the other places that I went for brunch before the race, Sophia in the Design District, because it has to do with the food that I'm eating. And Red Bull, we went to the activation twice because it was just so great, such good views of the track. And since we partied with them, I had to have my sugar-free Red Bull in both flavors. I'm actually going to try them and compare them because I've never tried the watermelon one on its own, and this is the peach. And at the Red Bull activation, they had drinks, of course, all mixed with Red Bull. And there was one peach one and one watermelon one. I got watermelon, and then Isabel got the peach one. So I'm going to compare them. But also, yes, so that has to do with my food. And I do want to get that because I am hungry. I realized it would be kind of funny if I tried to open this shrimp cocktail in front of you. So I am. Now, shrimp cocktail is the meal, spoiler. Here they come. Here come our little F1 drivers. Vroom, 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 vroom. You guys want some shrimp? They come over and you guys are such steady racers as soon as I open up the food. Okay, so shrimp cocktail. Here's why I'm doing shrimp cocktail and Red Bull as my meal. I had some of the best shrimp cocktail of my life at Sophia in the Design District in Miami, which is honestly, we're talking about fashion and Miami and Formula One. And I have to say, like, the Design District makes you want to shop so badly. Like, we had a couple of cocktails at Sophia and immediately I was just like, all right, let me like go buy a Prada bag. But this shrimp cocktail was just so sweet and delicious. And also like, I think I was kind of surprised by how fancy the food actually is at Formula One. I should have got a napkin, right? They work with a lot of like the local Miami hotspots to bring in the food. And I had like the best avocado gazpacho at the Red Bull activation. And I actually had it with a watermelon cocktail, hence the watermelon Red Bull here. So I'm going to just like open this up. I'm going to try both of my Red Bulls because this is the summer edition. This is the red edition. And I'm going to just like eat shrimp cocktail, which like makes me feel fancy. And honestly, a lot of the things that I did made me feel fancy. So let me try this shrimp and then I love little shrimp, but the shrimp that I had at Sophia were big, but I love shrimp cocktail when like it was previously frozen a couple of hours ago, but you leave it in the microwave and then everything was not frozen. So good. Let's try. Normally, I don't like watermelon flavored things, but this is where it's at. This is what the drink tasted like at the activation. I like the watermelon better, which is so weird for me. Normally, I would be a peach girl, but there's something about the taste of Red Bull mixed with peach that rubs me the wrong way. Also, I did open this a little earlier, so maybe it's just a little bit warm, but you stay over here with the sunglasses. Okay, so fashion, F1 fashion. Let's talk about it a little bit because I did want to talk about, and speaking of fancy foods, even though this shrimp cocktail is from Acme, fancy foods. I want to talk a little bit about the drivers and how their girlfriends and even themselves, well, specifically themselves, really have brought fashion onto the scene in Formula One. The F1 wives and girlfriends, okay? Their partners, the wags. Okay, I'm like learning about who they are because like I said, I'm a completely new Formula One fan and they're like very influencery and a lot of them are models, of course. So they kind of like, they have really cool outfits, honestly. And they also kind of fall into two categories. Like either they're more sporty or they're like very resort wear and sophisticated prep. So I found that to be really interesting. And I am going to talk a little bit about who they are. And just let me just go with like the first person in the folder that I curated. Oh my God, I curated so many people. Jesus. Okay. So let's talk about Charles Leclerc's girlfriend first, Alexandra Saint, because she was wearing this really cool red dress over Miami. And I just think she has really good style. She is an influencer. She did a road party with Hailey Bieber. They hosted a road party. Oh my God, your hair. Jesus. They hosted a road party together during Miami, and I just thought her red dress looked really cute. She always comes into the paddock with Charles and with Leo, their dog. You're like a wannabe Leo, you know, because we don't have that many subscribers, and Alexander Saint has more subscribers than us. So you're oh my God, you're a wannabe Leo, and I'm sure Leo does not shed this much, okay? And all the reporters like love this little dog Leo, and he's just really cute. So Alexandra and Charles like walk around with the dog, cute. Charles himself is honestly really into fashion too. I would say him and Louis are like the two biggest ones, but let's like stick with the girlfriends for a second because like I love women and I want to appreciate their style. I think my favorite is Carmen, who is George Russell's girlfriend. She's just so cute. She's featured on the Drive to Survive series. And I just like her. Like I get the sense that she's like a genuine person. I don't know. I have no idea who these people are. It's like the way we all look at celebrities. We have no idea, but I really like her. She leans a little bit more resort wear to me. She was wearing this beautiful white dress over the weekend and she walked in with George Russell and who came in third, by the way, during the race on Sunday and just looked so cool. She also wore this like cool, almost safari inspired look with a scarf. Scarves are so cool these days. It looks like to be like a Poochie scarf with this like boxy white button down and khakis. They were kind of flared. I just think she kind of like marches to the beat of her own drum. She's not like everyone else on the scene. So I really, really like them. And then I will say, Oscar Piastri's girlfriend, Lily, looked so cute in this like denim set, which I think just like she had on these like round retro sunglasses. I think that just speaks to, like I said, very much one of the vibes of Formula One fashion. And then Jack Doohan's girlfriend, her name's Ebony. I really liked this dress she wore. It was like a plunging polka dot dress. I thought it was very Miami and very cool. And she wore it with a Fendi bag, kind of like contrasting prints there. I'm upset because he is no longer on Alpine, which was just announced. So we might not see quite as much fashion from her in the coming races this season. I also think Alex Albon's girlfriend, Lily, wore the cutest outfit. She wore this little mini skirt, this little peach bag, and just wore a really chic white top and like T-strap sandals. And she has a good sense of style too. I would say I'm probably most obsessed with Carmen. Like if I had to align myself with one of their looks, I probably shouldn't use the word obsessed because it's creepy, but I like her sense of style. And then, so of course we all know Hamilton. Like, look at him, look at his like off-duty look. His off-duty look is just as cool as literally what he wore to host the Met Gala. Hamilton is, honestly an incredible person. He gives a platform to so many people and he does such great work, hence him hosting the Met Gala this year. So I think that just makes him cooler, flashier, like more deserving of the spotlight. Honestly, he's a really good guy. And I will say, like I said before, Leclerc is kind of getting into fashion too. And then Yuki Tsunoda also is into fashion. I'm going to read this quote that he says while we're on the topic of the Formula One drivers. But I will say that I love Carlos Sainz. That's my favorite. I like to think that Nick looks like him a little bit. Okay. So humor me. And him and Leclerc have this like bromance that ever since I started like getting into Formula One, it's just all over my feeds. So I found this funny video of them like playing chess on a plane where Sainz kind of gets into fashion, but he's not really a fashion person, but he does have a partnership now with L'Oreal. It's just proving that like there's so much money. All of these people are like ambassadors. They all have insane deals. There is so much money in Formula One, fashion and beauty related. Now I'm going to read this quote that I thought it was really great. I was reading this WWD article that's all about fashion at the Grand Prix, and the reporter interviewed celebrities that were on the scene as well as drivers, and they actually interviewed Yuki. And he had a great quote about fashion and F1 in general, and he really attributes, which I think is cute, a lot of it to Lewis. So he said, Lewis Hamilton started this whole thing. Lewis has really good taste. It's maybe not what I wear, but I'm also not a Formula One world champion. He has a bigger budget to purchase items. For me, I want to wear clothes that are closer to fans and what they would wear. I think I'm going to go in a different direction from Lewis. We both still love fashion, but at the same time, what we wear is quite different. I wear a lot of Zara stuff. People all around the world also purchase their clothes from Zara. I want to show people ideas of what they can wear and show that it's quite easy to match with different products. Sometimes I also get ideas from fans when I'm walking around the paddock or around the track. Love that. That just goes to show just how much the fan fashion plays into the whole Formula One fashion. Okay. So there you go. Yuki said it himself. He also said, I think every driver is now starting to show their personality through style. On the track, we're always wearing race suits and helmets. So it's hard to see everyone's tastes in outfits. Outfits can showcase people's personalities easily, which is good for the fans as well. So I really like that. And I think that, as he says, the fans, the influencers, there are so many like F1 reporters that I didn't even know about who were there showing up on the scene. I'm actually about to mention a few of them, but they so like the drivers themselves are kind of influencing the resulting looks that all the fans wear. And then it's like vice versa, according to Yuki, which I think is so cool. So I'm also going to talk a little bit about now the style that I saw, my personal opinion of F1 fashion. We talk about the sporty, edgy look and then the polished sophisticate. So I'm going to get into that. So let's talk about the celebrities and influencers who were on the scene. One of whom was Joe Burrow, who actually, we've talked about Alo Yoga, worked with Alo to create a custom like silk look. And like I mentioned, Alo had a whole activation in the Paddock Club, which was really cool. So they're obviously very much on the scene. Who else did I think? Oh, so Lisa was there and she was leaning more towards like the edgy, sporty look that we know. She's pictured in the driveway, the new Formula One fan. At Ferrari, and she's wearing this like cool red leather outfit with fringe. Now, Lissy McIntosh is the influencer / reporter, F1 reporter. I'll just call her an F1 reporter that I was talking about. And she kind of shows, she was wearing this Tommy Hilfiger look with a cool race car jacket, but then the rest of her look was kind of preppy. And she kind of showcases that like mix and match vibe of both of the trends. And then she also wore this like white and black beautiful maxi dress, which I think speaks more to like the preppy sophisticate look. Nina Dobrev was there, she's apparently friends with the Formula One drivers, the Ferrari drivers, and she was wearing the racing jacket. She was wearing like those cool knee-high boots, very much the sporty, let's go fast, chic, edgy style. And she looked really cool to me. And then Simone Ashley, who I thought leaned more towards that like preppy resort wear style in in her all yellow look, butter yellow, which is very much a trend, as we know. I think all in all, that's what I wanted to say about Formula One fashion. I had a really good time. I, like I said, ate delicious food. I think my outfits kind of made it. Now I'm getting into this, so I can't think anymore. I just want to eat. This cocktail sauce reminds me of Ferrari. And in case it wasn't obvious, I am into Formula One. I actually care about the drivers and who wins, and I'm very interested in the teams and the history. It's not just about the fashion for me, believe it or not, because I know you probably didn't know. This is the first episode in a long time where I didn't talk to someone and I didn't have an interview. So I don't know how to end this. I mean, Formula One fashion rocks. Formula One rocks. I'm excited to go to another race. I'm going to be, this is a little teaser, in the south of France next week. And Nick and I are actually going to the Monaco Grand Prix just on Sunday. So it's not going to be a full weekend thing like I had in Miami, but it'll be cool to really compare the fashion there to the fashion in Miami. I have a feeling we're going to get more of that sophisticated, quiet luxury, old money vibe in Monaco, if you know anything about Monaco. And I like that Miami was a mix. And I think a lot of the races on the calendar are a mix. I think all in all, I'll summarize it by saying that the fans, yes, the fashion brands, the beauty brands bring so much money and attention to Formula One, but the fans really make it what it is. They take what they see and they create this look out of it. And then it's almost like the retailers that we know and love respond to it and come up with outfits like these that someone would want to wear to a Formula One race. So it really is cool. It really is a trend, if you want to call it that. I think Formula One is obviously, it has so much history. It's going to be a forever thing. So it's less than a trend, but Formula One fashion is cool. It will change throughout the years, I am sure, but I hope we'll always still be drinking Red Bull and eating shrimp cocktail. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my Formula One fashion episode. I don't know how to end this. I'm just going to drink this Red Bull. Bye. Okay, so we talked about so some of the other, so I mentioned all of oh my God. Also, let me just talk about, okay, so,